All right. I asked for some questions. You guys gave me some questions. You want to get nuts? All right, let's get nuts. It's NFL Q&A time. Keys 10 kicking us off in this bilatch by asking, why do people think Urban Meyer would be a great NFL head coach? I think some of it is you could imagine Urban Meyer not giving a crap about players' behavior off the field, snorting coke off a stripper's ass cracks. Like, if you pictured a coach that would be down for that, like a Barry Switzer type, you would look at Urban Meyer and think he'd probably be down for that too. But the reality is everywhere in college Urban Meyer went, he won. People always point to Florida and Ohio State, but they forget about that damn good undefeated 2004 Utah team that had Alex Smith as the quarterback. They should have been the ones, or even hell Auburn at that point, that should have gotten the shot against USC. That's a damn Oklahoma. Damn Oklahoma. When a guy's won that much pretty much everywhere that he's went, it's not hard to imagine that people think that he could be a successful NFL head coach. Dave asks, should the Bears keep Trubisky and get another QB, or should they trade him or cut him and just start over with another guy? If you are going to, let's say, sign one in free agency or trade for one, then Trubisky must go. Because that is your indication that you're ready to make a clean break. No reason to delay the inevitable. Just make the clean break. If you draft a quarterback in the second or third round, maybe you would get away with him for one more year, but eventually you would have to make the clean break. Either way, barring the Bears winning the Super Bowl this year and Trubisky actually not playing like a turd Ferguson, they must make the clean break at the end of this season. Mags Colts Pack asks, which new head coach has impressed you the most and which new head coach has impressed you the least? I will say from the new head coaches that have impressed me the most, I've got to go with Brian Flores down in Miami. That was a team that intentionally set out to tank. It was a team that intentionally set out to suck and even started trading away players during the season just to renew their commitment to the tank. And yet they've now won 3 games and probably are putting themselves very quickly out of range for the number 1 overall pick. When you talk about impressive first-year head coaching performances, it's not always just about the total number of wins. It's about the situation and what you get out of the guys. And Brian Flores has done a hell of a job in that. It's 3-9 with that Dolphins team. Like, come on, man. They might win 1 or 2 more games for crying out loud. I mean, that's an impressive performance. You got to feel, if you're a Dolphins fan, that at least you've got some confidence in the head coach going forward, and that matters for something. As far as new head coaches that have impressed me the least, Adam Gase is too easy. I mean, the Jets just got done winning a couple of games in a row, but then they just got beat by the Bengals, who were previously winless. But I had no expectations for Adam Gase. So it wasn't like I was expecting him to hit it out of the ballpark anyways. It's not like I was expecting him to do great or wonderful things. So maybe Zach Taylor in Cincinnati, because I maybe would have thought they would have had perhaps 2 or 3 wins by now. It's been a really bad listless team pretty much all year. Finally got their first win, but he has done nothing to impress me whatsoever. Brian Simmons, as it stands right now, what is your Super Bowl matchup predictions along with a dark horse choice from each conference? Okay, Super Bowl pick for each conference. AFC. Like, I want to say Baltimore because there's a lot to believe in. I just wonder if there isn't going to be a team that meets up with them in the playoffs that is able to contain or minimize Lamar Jackson enough to where the Ravens are cooked. Still hard to bet against the Patriots, but that offense is just not that good at the moment. I still might go the Chiefs because they can score a lot of points. I know their defense isn't great, but they can score a lot of points. I'm trying to go a little bit different just than like somebody saying Ravens and 49ers, which could very possibly be the Super Bowl matchup, don't get me wrong. In terms of the NFC, 49ers fans can be mad at me. I still don't know if they're all the way ready yet, and I don't know that I fully believe in Jimmy G enough to give them that vote. Although at this point, based off of the way they've played, I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up making it because that defense is fast, that defense is talented at all three levels, that defense is championship level right now. But in big games, man, it would be really hard to pick against a Drew Brees or pick against a Russell Wilson. I still really, really like the Saints. They're a balanced and complete team. I would kind of lean towards them, but then maybe the Seahawks as being the other team that could do it. Yeah, that's kind of what I think right now. I don't believe in the Packers or the Vikings enough. Not yet. Not yet. Georgian Fulia. Who is your favorite player in the NFL right now that does not play for your Bears? It's Patrick Mahomes. I'm surprised you even had to ask that. If it's not him, then it's Aaron Donald. It's those two guys by a country mile. Michael Strickland. I think Devin Hester should be a first ballot Hall of Famer when eligible. Do you think he will make it first year, or will it take him time since he's a special teamer? It's going to take him time, I would imagine. It should take him time. He should not be a first ballot Hall of Famer as a return specialist. Now, if he had been better as a wide receiver or a defensive back, then maybe the conversation changes. While he had impact on the game, the true reality is that you're looking at 4-ish, 5-ish years of true impact from Devin Hester as a return guy, if that. So that's not first ballot worthy to me. Someday I totally believe that he belongs in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but if it took 10, 12, 15 years for him to get there, as long as he got there at some point, that's all I would care about. Nick, who do you think is most likely to be fired in terms of head coaches? I think there's going to be several guys getting the shit canned, somewhere between 6 to 8 of them. I'd be surprised if Anthony Lynn's brought back for the Chargers. Adam Gase might be one and done, but I don't know that they would be smart enough to do that. Freddie Kitchens is a goner. Pat Shurmur is a goner. Like, I can go on and on and on. Dan Quinn's a goner. There's going to be 6 to 8 openings again this upcoming offseason. Spencer Carpin, Is Derwin James a good comp for Isaiah Simmons from Clemson? Honestly, I've not watched enough of Isaiah Simmons yet to be able to make that comparison. You'll just have to stay tuned in the months to come. Abdullah Hep C. Do you believe Baker Mayfield is going to bounce back next season, or is this as good as he's going to get? Well, for Browns fans, I certainly hope he's better. I don't know how much confidence I have, because it's not just that he's had a bad year. He's had a really bad year, and he's had a bad year at a bad time with all that talent around him. Like, if he couldn't get right now, how's he going to get better in another year? But maybe you can lure Lincoln Riley to Cleveland for $12 or $13 million a year to come coach his boy Baker. Who knows? I would expect a little bit of a bounce back, but I don't expect that much of one, honestly. I have seen no reason as to indicate why. But then Freddie Kitchens has been so god-awful bad that maybe, just maybe, getting another head coach, a more legitimate play call, like even if it was Mike McCarthy, I think Baker Mayfield would have a better year in 2020. Kieran Chase, who do you think will get the last AFC wild card? It's crazy to say it. Like, after over a decade, this has to easily be Mike Tomlin's best coaching job. This quarterback situation is a mess. You no longer have Le'Veon Bell there. You no longer have Antonio Brown there. And they're in the playoff mix. They very possibly could be that last wild card team. Space Godzilla, what do you think of Roquan Smith so far? Like, I try to envision that he's the superstar that I see other people make him out to be. And I just don't see enough splash, big-time takeover game moments and big plays to feel like the top 10 picks spent on him has been justified yet. I just haven't seen that. Now, to be fair, being a Bears fan and coming as from the standpoint of being a fan of an organization that's had the best history of middle linebackers in the history of the league, bar none, with Bill George and Dick Butkus and Mike Singletary and Brian Urlacher. The standard, the bar is really, really, really high. But to be fair, When you take a guy with that much speed and athleticism in the top 10 as a middle linebacker, an inside linebacker, he better be that level of player or close to it. I just haven't seen it yet. I have been mildly unimpressed. I see other people talking about him like he's a big deal, and I want to believe that he's a big deal. I just don't see enough from him. I haven't yet. Doesn't mean it's not there. Doesn't mean you don't see it in flashes, but I don't see enough of those flashes. It's not bright enough for me. Peter Jedra, what are the QB abilities you think are less coachable? Either you have it or you don't have it kind of traits. I think there are a couple of things. Number one is field vision. You have to be able to see the field, not only be able to see the field, but the ability to read, recognize, and react really quickly to what you see. You see Trubisky doesn't have it. That's why a big reason that he sucks. Can't really coach that. It's just kind of the innate feel for the game, the instincts, the ability to process what you see and execute based off of what you're processing. Guys either have it or they don't. Guys can work somewhat to improve their field vision based off of confidence with what they're doing, time in the role, better understanding and familiarity with what their offense is doing at the NFL level, what opposing defenses are doing. But ultimately, even if a guy moves his eyes better and goes through his reads, if he still can't read and react, then it doesn't matter. That's one thing. I think pocket presence is the other big thing, that you either have it or you don't, and you can't coach that. A guy has the courage to stand tall in the pocket or the confidence and the natural feel and instincts to be able to move within the pocket and buy himself time, or he panics and bails out and creates sacks. Like, those are things I think you could teach. Arm strength. You can strengthen a guy's arm. Because look at Aaron Rodgers. His arm is much stronger than it was coming out of Cal. I think you can work on accuracy. I think you can work on mechanics. I think you can work on a number of different things. Those are two of the things that I look at that are so critical to success at the quarterback position that I think you either have or you don't have, and there's not very much you can do. Coach it up and make it a whole lot better. James Forcom, what are your early predictions for the NBA Finals? Probably that I won't care all that incredibly much about them, and neither will a lot of other people. Wasn't the answer you were expecting? That's the one you got, brother. Frank, who's your Heisman frontrunner going into conference championship week? And would you recommend Tua staying in school instead of going to the draft? I think it's Joe Burrow's Heisman to lose, isn't it? Like, unless I've been really out of the loop, it's got to be his to lose, I would think. Was it him or Justin Fields? Got to be those two. As far as Tua staying in school, if he gets any semblance of thought that he could be a first or second round pick, he's got to go. Because him sticking around college for another year to where there's no guarantee he's actually going to be able to stay healthy, because that's a question about him right now. He's not going to get any bigger. Playing in another year in a system with talent all over the place, even if a bunch of guys leave for the NFL draft, Saban will just replenish it and he'll have a whole new set of guys. That's not going to help him. It's just going to give another year of film on the guy where people can pick apart his game. If he's in first or second round territory, he must go. It's the smartest thing for him to do. LaCheese, what is wrong with Carson Wentz and the Eagles this season? The receivers aren't as good. They've gotten old in some key spots. Their secondary still stinks. And, frankly, they're just not as good as a lot of people probably thought they were going to be. They're just overrated. Master Havoc, this is a wrestling question, and it's not going to be answered here. You asked me about AEW wanting to make a video game. Good for them. They should. Who gives a shit? Sorry, I put this on the wrong one. I'll have to hopefully remember to add it to the wrestling Q&A video. Anyways, that's it for this week's Q&A. Thanks to all of you that submitted your questions. I'm out.